Is he supposed to be down here?
Okay, guys. We'll go ahead and get started, so I won't take up too much of your time. So we're gonna go over, I'm gonna do a quick seminar just on a couple different things, just some fun health stuff. And then we will talk about the challenge, and then that'll be it, but it won't be too long, okay? If you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask us. I put together, this is the first time I've ever used Prezi before, so this was exciting for me. This is our, it seems like it's a little health and wellness thing. Creative, I know. All right, so we're going to talk about three things today. We're going to talk about stress management, we're going to talk about diet and exercise. The stress management and exercise part, I feel like most people know, so I'm going to focus most of the attention on the diet part, but I thought I'd go over anyway, because we're all about wellness. All right, so what the challenge is going to be is it's going to be picking something that you want to work on for your wellness. So that could be in any category. It could be stress management, it could be diet, it could be exercise, whatever it could be. So that's kind of what I'm going to go through some things. Now, this is probably, as I don't need to tell you guys, this is one of the most stressful jobs. So I know every single person in this room has stress in their life. Although it's really almost impossible to beat it, there are some things that people say we can do that can help those things. One thing is determine your priorities. So this is something that I need to work on. This is my goal. So I don't determine my priorities really well. But make, like we tell our kids all the time, we have your must-dos and your can-dos. Make yourself your must-do and your can-do list. Make yourself your must-do of the day. I have to get this done at school, and then leave. This is the part I'm really bad at. Learn to put things away. Learn to just let it go and say, okay, it's fine. It's no big deal. And then once you pick those priorities, honor those priorities. If family is your priority, make that your priority. Don't let school get in the way of it. Put your foot down and say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's one big way we can kind of lower our stress level. I know it gets near impossible when things start to roll around at school, but that's a big one. Another big one that they're studying a lot on is putting away electronics. We live in a digital age of computers and cell phones and iPads and all those other things, and they're great and they're awesome and they're instant communication, but they also are finding that they're keeping us more stressed and they're keeping us awake. So they do affect your sleep, they affect your mood, and they affect your brain interaction. You can look at a lot of studies that talk about the different things that it does with interactions with your brain. CNN's been doing a bunch of it on CNN Student News, and just talks about all the effects of it. The biggest thing they talk about is sleep with it. Sleep's a whole other category, but one of the challenge things I put on there is if you want to do a potential one is putting your electronics away like after 7 p.m. But they say before you go to bed, you're not supposed to look at your phone, your iPad, your computer, or really even your TV, because there's a light in it that stays in your eyes for a certain amount of time, and that's what causes you not to be able to fall asleep. So even if you just watch TV, or you check your cell phone, like I'm totally guilty of checking my email right before I go to bed. I'll check my email, or I'll do something, that's my downtime, and then it's hard for me to shut off my brain, but two, then that light gets in my eyes, and then I can't sleep. So that's another big one, is to try and put away your electronics. The last one is sleep. I know several people who don't sleep. Sleep is probably one of the most important things you can do for your diet and your health. You need at least 7 hours of sleep as an adult. That's minimum, which is very, very hard to do, but 7 hours of sleep. There's a lot of research and a lot of studies that show, too, about how you sleep and that your room should be entirely dark. So that means covering alarm clocks. That means covering like something as simple as like your DVD player red light. It should be 110% dark because, again, that light, even though you're asleep and you're not processing it, your brain does, and it can sense that light, and it causes you not to be able to go into your full REM cycle, and so you're not truly getting that deep, dark sleep that you need. So, you can black out your room. I know it's hard, but get those blackout curtains. I have those. They're fantastic. Black out your room, cover everything up, use your cell phone as your alarm clock instead. There's also a really cool app. I haven't used it because I have to get up at a very specific time, but if you have some leeway on the time you can get up, you can take this app and put in like around what time you want to get up and put it under your pillow, and it feels your movement, and it will wake you up based off when you move in your REM cycle, when you kind of come out of it, and not at a specific time, because if you get woken up in the middle of your deep sleep, it's harder to wake up. But it'll like read where you're at, and if you start tossing and turning, so if you set it between like 5:45 and 6:15, it could be some days you start to wrestle and the app will recognize that you're moving at about 5:45, and then your alarm will go off, or there's some days it'll keep going until you the movement places where you wake up. And it's supposed to really help you feel more energized and wake up easier, because it's tracking how your body and how your brain's working. So
Guess what that app called?
I don't know, I'd have to look it up.
I
I've heard about it. I've heard about it, but I've never actually used it because I'm kind of anal about the time that I wake up, so I've never actually used it. Exercise is our next category we're talking about. So benefits of exercise. I don't really need to explain a lot of that. They're pretty self-explanatory. Stress, you get better sleep, better focus. They help fight depression. They actually give you more energy. So these are obviously very good incentives for wanting to exercise. But some of the things that I read a lot about is the better focus and the helping fight depression. Those are the big things that I've kind of been reading into lately. Obviously now weight loss and stress and better sleep, those are all things that we've heard in the past about what exercise can do for us. But the better focus and the help fight depression were big ones. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Legally Blonde when she was like, endorphins make people happy. Happy people just don't kill their husbands. That's exactly what it is that when you exercise, you release endorphins. You release lots of chemicals in your body, but endorphins is a big one. And endorphins helps your mood, helps you sleep, helps you start to see things in a more positive light. So I know it's really hard when we leave here and it's dark. The last thing you want to do is like, yeah, I'm going to go hop on a treadmill and run. But really, even simple exercise can really start to boost your mood and boost your endorphins. There's a lot of research talks about how exercise should be done at different rates. So there's two different types of rates. There's moderate and vigorous. Now, what's moderate and vigorous for me may be very different than what's moderate and vigorous for anybody else. But they say, so moderate's like your typical kind of walk. You're just walking in the park. They say that you can do the talk test. If you can walk or you can do exercise with somebody and carry on a conversation without like having to keel over and die, that's moderate exercise. So like a jog, a nice slow cycle, a nice brisk walk, all those things, yoga, all those things are really moderate exercise. We need about 2 hours a week of moderate exercise. And it also should be paired with about an hour and a half of vigorous exercise. So vigorous exercise is taking it up just a step further. So if that's jogging, that's just running a little bit faster. If that's cycling, that's cycling a little bit faster. Yoga, I don't really think you can go that much faster. But so again, and that would be not being able to pass that talk test. So if you can't carry on a conversation because you're dying, that's good, vigorous exercise. There's also a lot that talks about high-intensity interval training. Has anybody ever heard of high-intensity interval training? So it's like short bursts of time, and then you stop. So like you hop on the treadmill, you can go 1 minute of like super fast pace, and then you go 1 minute of walking, and then 1 minute of a super fast pace, and 1 minute of walking. And there actually is a lot of research now that's showing that that actually burns more fat than like a long, slow, steady run. So it actually is great because you can hop on a treadmill for 20 minutes and do all this stuff, and then you actually accomplish more than you would if you tried to go run 3 miles in 30 minutes. So high-intensity interval training, they also have a lot of it. That's what CrossFit is. If you've ever seen CrossFit or watched CrossFit, that's exactly what it is. It's short bursts of things, short bursts of exercise for small amounts of time. So there's any given workout, my workout could be 6 minutes long, but it's extremely vigorous for 6 minutes, and then I stop. Or it could be 1 minute on, 1 minute off, or like every minute on the minute do something. So it's that high-intensity training. The other thing that most women are afraid of is weights. And that, if there's one piece of advice I could give you, is to not be afraid of weights. They actually will benefit you more than hopping on the elliptical and going for hours and hours and hours. It'll help you lean out, it'll help you build muscle, but it also helps you lose that fat a lot faster. So don't be afraid of weights, don't be afraid of the bulk. The bulk doesn't happen unless you really want the bulk to happen. But really try and get into those weights if you ever need help not knowing how to do the weights. Because the weight section can be very intimidating at the gym. But if you ever want some help, I'm happy to have a 24-hour membership. I'm happy to take you. Or my fiance owns a gym. We can just go there when no one's there. But, so those are the big things with exercise. Okay? Anything else? All right, so diet's really what I wanted to spend the majority of the time. That's kind of what I know the most about. So I'm going to talk a lot, not a lot's up here. So basically your diet is broken down. Every single thing that you eat is broken into a macronutrient. Your macronutrients are your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. Every single thing you eat gets broken down into one of those. Okay? So, the whole idea of, in the past our society has had this whole bad idea of fats, is that fats is bad. Don't eat fat. You can't eat fat. So we go to all the low-fat things. It's actually not really what we should be doing. Fats are actually good for us, again, in moderation. But really what the bad thing is the carbohydrates. And how much we don't realize how many carbohydrates are in everything we eat. And what happens when we eat a lot of those carbohydrates and we don't realize it. most people think carbohydrates, oh, that's just my breads, my pastas, my cereals, my tortillas. But in reality, carbohydrates is in almost everything. If you look at a thing of yogurt, yogurt's got what, I don't mean yogurt in years, like 12 grams of carbohydrates or something like that. I mean, it's still good for you, but it has a lot of carbohydrates. So what happens is your body turns, so I'm going to make sure I say this right, because I have to do this the correct way. Okay, so your body turns carbs into glucose. Glucose is absorbed into your body, and that's what gives you energy. Glucose is what gives you energy in your body. So your body can only absorb so much glucose at a time, and when it can't, the excess glucose is stored in your liver. So when that becomes full, the excess sugar is converted into fatty acids and goes back into your bloodstream and other parts of your body, and that's when it's stored as fat. So if you think about all that, your body doesn't actually need that many carbohydrates, and it starts to store it in other places as fat. So the other problem with carbohydrates is insulin. So I love goldfish. Okay, so goldfish are fantastic. If I eat goldfish, I'm going to feel full for about 30 minutes, and I'm going to be starving again in 30 minutes. Because what carbohydrates do is they spike your insulin levels. That's why everybody's like, yeah, carbo load. You got a carbo load before a big race, before a big workout, because it spikes your blood sugar. But it falls very, very fast. And that just leaves you feeling more hungry. Now, there are lots of good carbs out there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about good carbs versus bad carbs. So your good carbs are your not processed foods. So like your whole grains, fruit has a lot of carbohydrates in it, but it's your good carbs. Your rice, sweet potatoes have a ton of carbohydrates in them that are good. Beans, all those are your good, healthy, good carbohydrates. The bad carbohydrates are those heavily processed things. So, like your white bread, things that have to be super modified to get to their form that they're in. Those are ones that are not very good for us. We want to kind of stay away from those. Your bang for your buck foods, pretty much your lean meats, your vegetables, your fruits, and your nuts and seeds. Those are kind of your big bang for your buck foods. That'll give you the most energy. Proteins and fats are both slow release, which means they'll leave you feeling fuller longer. So I notice that a lot if I eat a big breakfast with a lot of protein and a lot of fats in it, I don't get hungry near as fast, whereas if I eat like a bowl of cereal, I'm starving in 30 minutes and I have to eat something else. They're just slow reacting in your body, and so it carries you out a little bit further. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you never to eat bad foods, because let's be real, it doesn't happen. Just like we teach our kids, everything's good in moderation. So don't go banging yourself up and killing yourself over only eating certain things, and recognize that moderation is a part of life. There's a reason those foods are in our lives, and we should be able to enjoy them. So use your not good foods, but in your moderation. Last thing I was going to talk about is water intake. So water is a huge thing that can help with weight loss. It can help with clearing up your skin, your wrinkles. I don't know if anybody's seen that study where that woman in England drank a gallon of water a day for 30 days, and you saw her before picture and her after picture, and it was unreal. She looked like 10 years younger. Just by drinking, she didn't change anything else. Just drank a gallon of water a day, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Water.
I know. It is a lot of water. Now,
Eric's saying I have bad wrinkles. Somebody was wondering what was going on. I got carbohydrates and bad wrinkles.
all good. It's all good. I would recommend drinking at least 64 ounces a day of water. They actually say you should drink half your body weight in fluid ounces. So however much you weigh, cut that in half, and you should be drinking that in fluid ounces a day. Is the best answer. 64. My sisters used to get mad at me because when I carry around this giant water bottle, I'm like, you're going to drown yourself from the inside. No, it's fine. But 64 ounces a day, that's 2 Nalgene's. So Nalgene's are, where's my water? Are 32 ounces. So 2 of those a day. Now I also know that's extremely hard as a teacher, because you have to moderate how much you drink based off your pee schedule. So you have to make sure you can drink a lot of water when you can go to the bathroom. Afternoons are not my friend, because I've drank so much in the morning and never make it in the afternoon. But we talk a lot, we move a lot, so it's actually a lot easier for people like us to drink water, because we want to drink water. There's also an app on your phone. Again, I don't know what it's called, but there's one that you can put in your goal for how many ounces of water you want to drink, and it will randomly set off an alarm, and you have to drink like 8 ounces at that time. So it just helps you actually, because a lot of people just say, well, I just forget. Like I have this whole water bottle, and then I just forget to drink it. It's just here. I go about my day and I forget. So that kind of builds those habits of drinking water and doing all those things.
I find when I have a straw, I agree, water a lot.
I found that a lot too.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Is that how you drink beer?